in. This session is brought to you by LIMS Review Center, the Princeton Review Philippines, AUG Philippines, and AECC Philippines. I hope you're as excited as I am because we're starting day off strong with a live panel called Navigating the Compass, Should I Study Abroad? Studying abroad is often romanticized as a transformative adventure of cultural immersion and personal growth. But this is not always the case, as studying abroad also comes with drawbacks and challenges. This panel aims to explore the question, should I study abroad? By delving both into the positive and negative aspects of studying abroad to help the audience make informed decisions about whether or not studying abroad is the right choice for them. And this panel has two speakers who are going to study abroad or who is studying abroad, and two speakers who had the choice of studying abroad but chose to stay here. So I hope you're really excited to hear more about their decisions and their stories and how that might inspire yours. So our first speaker, Carl, is an incoming freshman at Harvard College and is planning to pursue a concentration in astrophysics. He graduated valedictorian of the University of the Philippines Rural High School, where he was active in various STEM competitions, the Scrabble team, and the Glee Club. Carl also had dedicated much of his free time in high school to deepen his interest in the space sciences, and in the future, he would like to have his own research lab and go back to the Philippines to contribute to the local space sector. Let's all give Carl a very warm round of applause, please, or please welcome him in the chat. Our next speaker, Gwen, has recently completed her undergraduate degree in biomedical engineering, specializing in nanoscale biotechnology at the University of Sydney. Throughout her university experience, she participated in a variety of extracurricular activities, ranging from social societies like ISAC and Sydney University Society of Medical Innovation to biomedical research on nanoparticles and microfluidics. She also developed a profound interest in the startup space and now works with the largest pre-seed investor in the world. Super, super exciting. Let's all give Gwen a round of applause. Our third speaker, Matty, studied in Senior School San Juan. He completed the International Baccalaureate diploma program in the senior high with the goal to study abroad for college for medical biology. He decided to pursue studying in the Philippines by enrolling in the University of the Philippines, Diliman, taking BS Biology. A round of applause for Matty Rodrigo. And finally, our last speaker. A year ago today, Grace was in your position, piecing out all that she needed to know to gear up for the college admission cycle. She went to a lot of college seminars just like this and asked her upperclassmen for advice. Ultimately, these helped her not just land with admissions to international universities like University of Toronto and University of British Columbia, but also garner some financial aid and scholarships. Despite the international offers, she ultimately decided to stay here in the Philippines to study in Ateneo de Manila University with a merit scholarship. Let's all give Grace a round of applause. So super really exciting to have everyone here. So now that we'll start the panel, how this is gonna work is I will read questions out loud and then you guys will take turns answering one by one. We can go from Carl, Grace, Gwen, and Matty in that order. But we'll switch it up halfway through the panel, so it's not only Carl who's answering first. So yeah, all right. I think that the main question we all want to hear from you guys is what were the primary reasons you decided to or not to study abroad? Were they personal, academic, financial, or a combination of factors? So Carl, do you want to go first?
Okay, so the reason I studied abroad is mainly for my major. So I wanted to study astrophysics, like you mentioned earlier, and I thought that it is a very niche field of physics that a US institution might be better equipped to offer. So my motivation was that, and to do that, I have to make my plan to study abroad work. And second, I also thought about the value that it would bring to me personally. So for me, that is seeing more of what's out there. So because for some context, I've been in Los Baños, Laguna for almost all of my life. My elementary school was situated in the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and I went to UPLB's high school as well. So like that is 12 years of being in the same campus and I just felt like I needed to see more of what's outside my hometown. And like the consequence of that is like I will be exposed to more diversity of thought, which will be integral to my personal growth.
tama. I think, yeah. So just to summarize his answer, both the major is really important and like astrophysics, so cool, by the way, Carl. And also just like exploring what's out there, which completely gets. And then next, Grace, do you want to talk about your decision as well?
Hi. So, just to pretext, I really talked about my parents about where I'm going to apply to, what the financial implications would be like. Because as for me, I come from a family that's just got out of a really tough time, especially through the pandemic. And as the eldest daughter, I can't be too selfish to say, out of a family of four. So I have to consider that, oh, my siblings are still going through elementary and they'll still go to high school and college. And they have certain aspirations as me. So if magkasabay yun, I can't really be too pressuring on my parents to ask much rin. And I also took in consideration the pressure of going abroad and also getting the financials to do so. So it was really a combination of whether or not I could do it and whether or not it's sustainable for my family in the long run. So yeah.
Yeah. Your story really hits home. So yeah, financial reason really is a lot of like Filipinos' main drawbacks to studying abroad. So like still amazing that you got into ADMU with a merit scholarship. Super like that's so amazing. All right. And then next, Gwen, do you want to talk about your story?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I just have a bit of a cold, but for me, it was mostly the degree. I was very indecisive back then. I feel like I'm a lot older than you guys, but so I just finished my degree, right? Way back when I couldn't choose or I couldn't decide if I really wanted to do med. So the dream was to be a doctor, and but I couldn't fully commit to it. So I found a good in between, and I did biomed engineering, and it was just not yet a thing in the Philippines, and so I had to look elsewhere. And then beyond that, I also really wanted to explore the world, similar to what Carl said. I wanted to see what was outside the Philippines and to see if, to challenge myself, to be alone, to be abroad, to see if I can, adult at the ripe age of 18.
Love it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's super amazing. Biomedical engineering, also super cool. Like I'm a STEM girl, but like you and Carl are like ultimate STEM. So that's so like nice to hear that more Filipinos really want to go into like, like really deep dive into their specific courses. So I love that. And then finally, Matty, do you want to talk about your story as well?
Yeah, of course. So the reason why I decided not to study abroad was somewhat of the same reason as Mary, because money, like finance issues, wherein I applied for a scholarship for both of the universities that I applied to, but unfortunately I didn't get them. So because of that, I had to resort to going to my uni right now, which is UP. And apart from that, it was also the environment of the place I was supposed to go to, which is UBC, right? And I searched it up, and apparently it isn't that LGBT friendly, which is one of the things that I consider. So that's one of the reasons why I also didn't push through.
Thank you. Also, like that's actually a really good thing to have considered before you went there. So thank you also for like putting it out there. Because I think like this panel really is to like shed some light on like studying abroad isn't supposed to be like so romanticized. And like it's really an transformative experience. I'm sure that like Gwen's gonna talk more about that later on. But like thank you for like talking more about that. Realistically, it's and like not everyone can do it, right? So yeah, for Gwen and Carl, can you guys answer what are the key advantages of studying abroad and how can it enhance my educational experience and or career prospects? And then for Gwen specifically, like how, like as a graduated student, how has that helped you? Yeah. Gwen, you want to, oh yeah, sorry, Carl, you can go first.
Okay, so I'd like to echo what Gwen said earlier about not being decided at the beginning, because one of the hallmarks of a US education specifically is how it gives you the flexibility to explore, like unlike the usual process where you get accepted to a certain major in college and now you have to take it. In the US, you don't have to have a major until sophomore year. So that
Mm.
freshman year of college is a time where you can dip your toes into your different interests and find out what you really want to study for the rest of your college life. So in a sense, this relieves some of the pressure off the shoulders of teenagers who might not know what to study yet. So having that
Mm.
flexibility to explore will in the end lead to a path that you genuinely enjoy and find fulfilling.
Yeah, I love that. And then, Gwen, you want to talk about it? Like, and if there's any difference with Australia, then you can talk about that as well.
Yeah, it's actually very similar here in Australia where you don't immediately have to commit to your degree or your major. You can there's like flexible options where you can try different kinds of engineering, for example. But in terms of the key advantages of studying abroad, sorry if I'm looking this way, I just have my notes. One thing that I really value from my experience is the accelerated growth because it's uncomfortable. You're alone, you're abroad, you have your support systems back home. You have to build a new one. And there's just so many things that you have to learn in such a short amount of time, and you will grow exponentially. Like I can't even describe how much like things will change for you. You'll also expand your network. You'll meet so many new people, and then there's like good people and bad people that you'll meet and encounter. But you'll in its essence, right, you'll build your network, and you'll meet so many inspiring people that will inspire you to dream big. And then finally you'll learn how to make opportunities for yourself, especially as an international student, because like preface to like probably later discussions, it's hard to start your career abroad. And this making opportunities for yourself is the most basic thing you need to live the life that you want eventually.
Love it. Thank you guys so much. And then for Matty and Grace, did you have any concerns about missing out on potential opportunities or experiences by not studying in a foreign country? Or do you feel like though you have enhanced opportunities going abroad, there's still like absolutely nothing wrong or like no missed opportunities since most people study here anyways?
I like to
Yeah,
go
sorry, go.
first
Yeah, you can go
kasi,
first, Grace.
yeah.
Yeah.
One of the major reasons I picked ADMU was because of the opportunities it could give me. And I believe with opportunities, it's not something that is easily presented to you, but rather something you have to work hard for it to show up to you. For example, getting a merit scholarship and ADMU, for example, gives me a lot of access to, let's say, mentors who also got the scholarship, went abroad, and have the career I'm looking at. And it also brings about a lot of opportunities. For example, ADMU has this specific junior term abroad program where they send scholars abroad if they are qualified to, and also a summer term abroad. I really looked into how this university would fit my growth or how I wanted to grow. So it's really more of like trying to maximize the resources around you and how it would fit in your career path you want to take. Because for me, it's not too much of a major loss. Like, yes, I conceded the fact that there are some better opportunities, perhaps if you have a specific major, for example, astrophysics in Harvard. But there's also some like leeways and segues in the Philippines naman. And it all depends on how you're gonna research on it and how you're gonna build your way towards it.
Love it. Okay, and then what about you, Matty?
Well, for me, I also have to agree wherein I don't think it's that big of a loss. The only part where I see it might be a loss is wherein, because there are things in certain countries that make the like biology world slightly operate differently, wherein because of culture, because of different practices in different countries, which might have made it a loss in a way wherein I couldn't learn from that side. But it's still like I still somewhat have no regrets like to study in UP because of the fact that there will be a lot of like career opportunities I will get from studying in UP because of the fact that a lot of med schools really like what's the word, like they really like UP, like parang if they hear that you're from UP, you have a higher chance of getting accepted into med school. So that's one of the things that I considered. And also because of the fact that because I want to be a doctor in the Philippines, I have to take the board exams in the Philippines so that I can
Mm.
get my license to like be a doctor in the Philippines. So I don't really think I have that much of a loss.
Got it. Thank you guys so much. And then a question for all of you. What are some potential challenges of applying to or studying abroad, and how can I overcome them? And what were the most prominent differences you noticed while applying abroad versus in the Philippines? So, Carl, do you want to go first?
So I can speak to the potential challenges of applying abroad. So
Mhm.
the first one I think will be the cost associated with it. Because of course, if you want to take the SAT or you don't have the application fee waiver, you will have to invest heavily in something you're not even sure will work out. So applying abroad is almost like a gamble in that sense. But for me, I am fortunate enough to have a nonprofit organization behind my back, and they help me pay all the upfront costs of applying abroad. So it's Education USA Philippines, and they open applications to this limited program annually. And when you get in, you won't have to worry about anything financials anymore. And aside from money, another thing that you will have to invest heavily is time. So going into the college application season, I was so confident that this would be such an easy job, and other people are just saying scary things about missing or barely missing deadlines. But wow, I was so humbled when I compiled every supplemental essay that I had to write. So there was like 50 of them, and I thought I'm never gonna finish this in time. But one way that I found to make the task easier and take this with a grain of salt is to reuse essays. So, because frankly speaking, a lot of the prompts overlap, and sometimes you just need to edit out one or two small details for the essay to be tailored to a completely different college. So, it just makes the task more manageable. But like I said, take it with a grain of salt.
Got it. And then, and like super cool that there are organizations like that who can pay for the upfront cost of it. And then, Matty, do you want to answer?
Well, I can only answer until applying because I haven't really studied
Yeah,
abroad.
no, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I think honestly, somewhat same thing again. It's really the process to apply abroad because there's a lot of things that you have to do. Like you have to get recommendation letters, essays, you have to prepare for SATs, and then there's still money for that where you have to pay to have your application submitted. You have to pay for your SATs and pay for review centers if you are going to avail those. And also formatting like the right words to talk about your extracurricular activities, like you have to make sure they sparkle or something like that. And of course, like time management, because you have your extracurriculars, you have your academics, and you also have to prepare for everything to apply to apply abroad. So the way I was able to do this is that I always set a time. Like I remember last school year, I set a time every Wednesday, Friday, and Monday. After school, I would always prepare for the SATs and I would work on my essay a bit. So like that's the only thing that I did to like manage my time in terms of applying to college abroad. And then as for money, fortunately I had like someone like help me with financials, which is the people like my family. So apart from that though, I also had a like my guidance counselor. I asked her for help on where I could get like money, where I could get review centers, and also how to manage my time. So hopefully like if you guys have guidance counselors that help you guys like to apply abroad, you guys should really ask them because they really help a lot.
Got it. And then, Grace, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I would like to add on like time management because I think especially when you're in your graduating year, it's like the peak of your stress. Like you also have to handle if you're also applying in the Philippines, the college application here because in comparison to let's say the US, you have Common App where you submit all your essays, all your extracurriculars, and it's pretty straightforward. Whereas in the Philippines, each university has its own portal. It asks different documents, so you really have to take note of that. So what I did was have this like massive Excel sheet with like full of check marks, like, oh, what document do I need? Oh, when's the deadline for this? How much does this cost? Okay, do I really want to apply to this school? Cross it out because it's an added expense. So you really have to be that meticulous in your college application if you really want to study abroad, and really have to go if you really want to go through the application process. And another thing, maybe it's because I'm like very, I don't know, like I'm very like meticulous and like very like particular with my application. Like once I see an out of line as essay line for me, it's like doesn't really speak me. It doesn't speak me. It's not like substantial. So I had to rewrite my entire essay. I'm like, okay, let's do this instead. So you really have to know what type of students your university is looking for. For example, if they're research based, so you might want to put more research based stuff in there. If they're more of the holistic development of your character, you have to allude to that. So you really have to consider the details and the minute things in your application.
Love it. And then what about you, Gwen?
Um, well, sorry, can't speak today, but so first I'll talk about applying abroad. So I think one thing I did differently is that I knew earlier on that applying abroad was something that I wanted to do. So I bought books in like second year. I think it's like you can buy it in National Bookstore or something, and you practice the SAT or I took the ACT. And then I took the actual test in third year, so that in fourth year I can focus on the UP, DLSU, and UST tests. So that's something that you can do. Is I'm not sure if it's still the same. Your SAT is valid for like X amount years. That's something you should check. But if 2 years, right? So then try to take it earlier if you can, and then that way you can retake it if you're not happy with your score. And then the other thing is that if you're paying, then be very choosy with the universities that you apply to, because each application is an added cost. Make sure that it aligns with you, because certain universities are looking for certain types of students, and if you don't think you fit that mold of student that they want, then I don't think it's worth paying that. I think it was $80 to apply for the uni. Otherwise, if you get the waiver, and you should talk to your guidance counselors about this, maximize that. Like apply if you can. And then for studying studying abroad, challenges are cost of living. It's expensive, but you have to feed yourself. You have to eat. You can't just skip meals. I did that in the first year. Not good. You lose all your energy. But and also learning how to adult is hard. You have to remember, to go to the dentist twice a year. You have to go to the doctor if you're feeling sick. No one's gonna tell you to do that, but you just have to. And finally, you have to become proficient in change management, because there will be a lot of changes, and you just have to adapt.
Tama naman. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this question, if you cannot answer it, that's totally fine. But this one alludes more to future plans. So what are you planning to do after college? And how has studying abroad or not studying abroad affected that decision? So, Gwen, can you go first?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, probably. So for me, even though I did an engineering degree, I actually finished uni thinking that I didn't want to do an engineering job, which is okay. That's fine. Things change, as I mentioned earlier. And the thing with studying abroad is that you start to learn how to learn things fast. And if you want to pivot and change something, for example, I went from an engineering degree to currently I work in an operations role. So I help run an accelerator that works with like a bunch of startups, right? You start to learn things really fast, and you're like, oh, I actually really like this kind of job, and this is the kind of work that I want to do. And so you're given the skills. Transferable skills is what it's called, to pivot when you can, and that's what really helped me change from an engineering job to where I am now. In terms of future plans, maybe one day I'll go back into engineering, and that will never disappear from you, because you actually have like that opportunity will never disappear, because you have your degree and you've done the work for it. But I mean that's that's all I can say, I think.
Got it. Thank you so much. Matty, do you want to answer?
Well, actually, I already somewhat have it planned out. It might change in the future, but so far, what I do plan on after college is to apply to UP Manila or St. Luke's for medical school. And then because I will study in the Philippines for college, I would be able to have a good idea on how the medical field operates in the Philippines, because I'll be able to learn from BS biology majors that turned into doctors, because there's also an organization that I found in UP Diliman about how they will bring you to different med schools. They will bring you to different hospitals, and you get to talk to the doctors and ask how Diliman somewhat changed their life or whatever, or how they can use their degree in biology for med school.
That's so cool. All right. And then Carl, do you want to talk?
Yeah, so as you said earlier, like I want to study astrophysics and it's hardcore STEM. And so like I want to do a PhD in the future. And I thought that studying abroad would put me in a good position because there I will have access to like the astrophysics research facilities and laboratories, and getting experience in them would be a good training ground for an actual PhD program.
Super, super cool. And then finally, Grace.
I used to set my heart to like being a hardcore researcher, particularly hopefully in cancer biology. But that changed when mid through the year I decided to stay here in the Philippines. So I'm not fully undecided with my career path to be a surgeon or a doctor, but I really like helping people, and that field is good for me, and I really like all those nerdy stuff na like all things biology and like helping out the community. But I also found out that during yung orientation namin sa Ateneo, I found out that being a doctor isn't just like a one-way straight path. You can also pursue research. You can also give back to the community, study more research to develop more advanced medical treatments and for it to be more accessible. So we'll see, but it's more on being a doctor as of now.
Super, super cool. I love how driven each of you are in your respective fields. So this is honestly super exciting to hear. All right, next question. And everyone, definitely feel Q&A is open. So definitely feel free to leave a question there. Next question is for the speakers who are going abroad. What do you feel is something that is unique to you in your educational experience and going abroad? Speakers in the Philippines, what is something that people who are going abroad, like what's an experience that they will miss out on if they aren't able to study here? Yeah, just to like even it out. So Grace, do you want to go first?
So studying in Ateneo de Manila, because I live in Davao City, so I'm an out of province student. So that alone, being out of my hometown, I've missed like a fruit festival in August moving outside. So, and it's like the first time I'll miss my sister's birthday. I'll miss some of my friends here. And it really is more about being homesick and finding, and it's, from what I know, it's somewhat hard to find support systems there kasi nandyan naman, but it's different when it's your family and your close friends that you've gained all throughout the years in high school and elementary. So I think it's more of like the homely feeling and being at home.
Matty?
Well, for me, like I think one thing that you guys will surely miss will be, of course, like the culture of the Philippines. Well, although there will be like culture organizations outside the Philippines that will still allow you to embrace your culture, you will still like miss a lot of it because of the fact that yung po tsaka opo, you won't really see that in like in Singapore or in Canada, or yung magmamano ka like sa mga matanda, you won't see that. You won't be able to see taho vendors around. You won't be able to see jeepneys and everything. So you're gonna feel that sense of like homesickness or some sense of loneliness from the Philippines, which is really something that you would crave if you study abroad. So like I think that's the only thing I can give for now.
Yeah, and like when you talk about societies abroad, like Filipino Association of Blank University, it's going to be filled of like Filipino Americans, Filipino Australians, like ganyan. So just be prepared for that. And then, Carl, do you want to talk about like the abroad side?
Yeah, so what's probably unique about my would-be experience studying abroad is the diversity of thought that I would not necessarily be exposed to in any other university. So, for example, the incoming freshman class at Harvard comes from 102 different countries, if I'm not mistaken, and getting to interact with so many different people from different walks of life will expand and challenge how you see certain problems or issues. So I once read a book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Tipping Point, and it talked about how the success of teams are rooted in the diversity of skill sets and perspectives of its members. So when solving a very big problem, you will need input from all directions, and being in a place where you can hear the voice of someone from the other side of the continent or the other side of the globe will be quite the transformative experience, at least in the way I see the world around me.
Yeah, and that's honestly super, super exciting na you're embracing that and you like actually have that chance. Super, super cool. And then finally, Grace. Sorry, not Grace. Gwen, sorry.
Oh, good. I just want to echo what Carl said about the diversity of thought. That's something that you like. You when you come to Australia and study here, you don't just meet Australians. You meet people from all over the world who came here to study the degree that you're studying. And whenever you're doing group works, everyone thinks so differently. Maybe sometimes it's not good because everyone just gets into arguments, but you learn to work through that. And then I think the biggest thing that you would miss out on having not studied abroad is like the development of your relationship with yourself, because you don't immediately have that support network here. Then you are forced to rely solely on yourself because you're the only person who can help you out in situations where you need help. And throughout the 4 years of studying here, I've learned to trust myself so much more than I thought I would have at this age, right? And I know that I can rely on myself for sure, like 100%.
Tama. Like, not everyone is prepared for that. But, like, if you are, then, like, studying abroad is definitely for you. But, like, there's no harm also when, like, saying that, like, right now I'm not prepared to go through that. So we can go through the Q&A now. So for Gwen specifically, how did you fund your studies, living costs, and other expenses in Australia?
Yeah. So for studies, I'm very fortunate because so my parents also supported me with my tuition fee, and I also was backed by a few government officials back home. Not sure if I could name them, but in terms of living costs and other expenses, I had to work while I studied. I was working in hospitality. I was a waitress in a cafe. I worked in a bar. Stuff like that. And I also did paid internships with different startups, and you just have to learn to balance that on top of uni and your thesis work and stuff like that. But yeah.
So perfect. And then this one's for Carl. Can we get more information about the NGO that backs up finances for students who would like to study abroad? Thank you. So this one, Carl, do you want to like say it out loud, or you can put it in the chat as well?
Yeah, for sure. So the NGO is Education USA Philippines, and it's basically a branch of Education USA. It's a global nonprofit. They have branches in many different countries, and USA Philippines is the branch under the US Embassy in the Philippines. So they basically provide free services for anyone, and you can schedule a call with them, a one-on-one with an advisor, but the program specifically that I applied to is called the College Prep Program. And every year they take in grade 11 students that are incoming seniors who are going to apply abroad, right? And they help you with a lot of stuff. So aside from the costs, they will also help you with essay writing, building your activities list. So they're a very, very helpful resource. And in my opinion, you would receive much more intensive guidance in that specific program than if you were just to schedule a free one-on-one advising session with them. But in any case, either services are very, very helpful.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not part of the program, but I've met a few people who went through the Education USA program. They're like super cool. But yeah, and then would like to plug our sponsors also. If you are not super set on going to the States, then you can go to either AUG Philippines or AECC Philippines, and they can also help you out with your applications to other countries. And then for the entire group, do you have advice for someone who plans to apply abroad but feels inferior or feels like giving up because of low GPA, big extracurriculars, etc.? Grace, do you want to go first?
I like to start because yeah, being the batch governor of my batch, and a lot of people like express stuff to me, and yeah, and a few friends also express this. What they really see in the applications, just not what you are like quantitatively. They also see how you are as a person, what your attitude is, how you see what your outlooks in life basically is. So it's not really game over for you, but you can still work towards it. It's not too late to do so. But yeah, just find ways around it that you could really strengthen your application for it. Good luck.
Tama. Yeah. And then Gwen, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah. Well, first thing is like getting into an international uni. It's not one path. Like you don't have to go in as a first year student if you feel like your GPA is too low or your extracurriculars are too weak. You can always, go to uni in the Philippines first, do 1 year there, strengthen your GPA, do more extracurriculars, and then apply as a transfer. There's many different ways that you can get into the university that you want to go to. You just have to make those opportunities for yourself.
Tama. And then Matty?
Well, Grace and Gwen kind of said everything that I had to say, but to add on, honestly, like, you can literally, there isn't really a time set for you to go abroad. You can go to abroad anytime you want in your life. It doesn't have to be this school year, it doesn't have to be next school year. So if you feel that you want to give up because of like low GP or weak extracurriculars, maybe you don't have to give up. Maybe it's just you have to take a break from like applying abroad. Like it's not really a never, it's just a not yet. So basically, you can apply to abroad next time, not next time, sorry, next school year, or maybe in a few, wherein you boost your GPA, you boost your extracurriculars, and you basically have a idea of who you are as a person, and you can use that as a strength to apply to college abroad.
Yep. And then finally, Carl?
So the common thread that I found in the answers of my fellow panelists would be like it's not too late to study abroad. Like you can always study abroad as a transfer or for master's program, or you can strengthen your GPA now and then apply later. But if you feel like you want to study abroad now or never, I would just like to shed light on the fact that there are different tiers of colleges. So the reach colleges, match colleges, and safety colleges, right? So the reach college, they would be the most selective ones, they're very, very competitive, but there are also matches and safeties that would be relatively easier to get into. Like these would be the schools that have 50% or above acceptance rates. So I would say look into those if you can. And if you bag a scholarship, then that would be a really great too.
Tama. And also different countries focus on different things. So like if you're not super confident in your essays and extracurriculars, you can apply to Australia that like literally does not ask for that at all. If you're more like confident in who you are and your story as an applicant, apply to the US. Like there's a lot of different ways you can go about this. But yeah, our next few questions is more on how are you able to balance college apps abroad and entrance exams here, and essentially like the entire college application process while doing senior year in the Philippines? How was that? Gwen, do you want to answer, or like you'll skip this one since it's been a while?
I can answer that.
Okay.
For me, I think like I mentioned earlier, start in third year, start earlier if you can. Like if you can take those the SATs or the ACTs earlier, do it. And also some unis I believe have really set common app essay questions, and so you can start
Yes.
drafting them earlier. Like you don't have to do it when you start applying.
Yep. All right. Grace?
Hi. So what I did was really list down what essays I need to accomplish, which deadlines. It really helps if you have, let's say, a list or a spreadsheet, so you can see which date is due or upcoming, and ask for like entrance exams, you really have to find like, oh, which colleges have the same topics more or less. So parang isahan na lang siya. For example, I studied SAT while I was studying my set. So math and English reading comprehension and whatnot were like off the charts for me. So what I had to do was just study science for, let's say, UST. And it's really about like scheduling and like dealing with what deadline, what comes first and what comes second, which is more important to you. So yeah.
Love it. And then Carl?
So my strategy was a little different. So was for just for some context, my year was the year Ateneo and LaSalle reinstated the entrance exams. And the summer of 2022, I had the opportunity to receive to get a scholarship to like a review center that trains you for the local sets. But I just decided to go all in. Like I made a really, really risky gamble and I just rejected the scholarship because I wanted to study in the US anyways. So I did not take any entrance exams in the Philippines last year. Instead, I focused all my energy into my essays in the US. So it's more like
Hey, wow.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not a balance in that sense, but
Yeah.
I know I had extracurriculars, I had a lot of stuff
Yeah.
going on, and I just had to take the risk and do it.
Yeah. But out for you, yeah. If it's not this decision, like if it's not for you, then don't do it. But if you're super set on going abroad and that's your personality, go all in. That's so cool. And then Matty, do you want to finish us off?
Well, I actually had two strategies to balance college apps abroad and entrance exams here. So first one is basically I forgot what they called it, but basically I had a list wherein you had important, not important, urgent, not urgent kind of thing. Yeah, that thing where it's like a table, right? So basically, I put the college apps that are really urgent and really important, which is like my priority schools and then safe schools. So basically, you can rank which ones you have to do first, and then also take note of deadlines so that you can manage your time on which ones you should do right away and which ones you can like delay for a bit. The second one is I looked for ways to hit two birds with one stone. So the way I did this was that, for example, for the SATs, you can use that to apply to DLSU so you don't have to take the DCAT. And I used that so I didn't take the DCAT. And apart from that, because I took the IB route, I didn't have to take the USTET and I didn't have to take the asset. So and since for my year we didn't have OPCAT, I essentially had no like entrance exams. So that's kind of how I hit two birds with one stone. So I was able to focus on my like applications abroad and because of the fact that the essays again are the same for like in the common app. Basically, I just kept reusing essays. I changed it a bit. Like, of course, I would change the university names because I don't want to apply at the University of Barcelona and say the reason why I want to go to the University of British Columbia. Like, I don't want to do that. So make sure you guys are mindful when you reuse your essays for the two birds in one stone tactic. But that's it.
Tama. I did not take the IB, so I can say, and I was also the SAT ECT speaker for the conference, so I can say you can use the SAT to forfeit out of DCAT and USTET. It can supplement ADMU applications, but you cannot use it in UPCAT. So that's as far as I know for that. But yeah, okay. For Grace, is it difficult to apply for and receive a merit scholarship in ADMU?
You don't technically apply for it. As far as I know, it depends on your scores ASAP. So what I did was just really study well and it's two birds in one stone, like Matty said. If you I studied for SAT and I took that as kasi similar lang yung math subjects nila. So I just took that and just reviewed a bit. Yeah.
Got it. And then for Matty or Grace, do either of you live on your own for college? Do you rent or stay at UP/ADMU dorms?
Sorry. My scholarship already included my transportation fees and like dorm for admin. So I'm going to live on campus for admin. So yeah, that pretty much answers the question straightforward. Yeah.
Nice. Matty?
Well, for me, for my first year, I'm going to be living in an apartment with my friends that I met on the UP Diliman Discord server. Basically, they were looking for roommates for their apartment, and we would pay rent every month basically. So yes, I will be living not in UP but in an like apartment near UP.
Yes. So for um for colleges here and even a few colleges abroad, there will be a Discord for the incoming class. So it's like not that it's easy to find roommates, but like it's not impossible, and like you can definitely make friends early. But yeah, okay. Okay, next question is everything about essays. Do you have any tips for essays both here and abroad? And how do the essays for Philippine colleges and abroad colleges differ? Carl, do you want to go first?
Okay, I know there is an essay for Ateneo last year. Like I read
Yes,
some
yeah.
I read some essays of my friends from Ateneo, and I'm just surprised that I don't think there was a prompt or what, But like yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think there was a
Yeah, I
prompt
can
and there
I, I
was
can
no
answer
one
this.
there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. The ADMU prompt is very open. It's like describe like a pivotal moment in your life or like your greatest achievement or something like that. So that's the ADMU prompt. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
Grace
but
or
like
yeah, Grace or Matty, you can definitely tell me if I'm wrong or right. But yeah. Sorry, go Carl.
yes, and like there's no word limit to that if I'm not mistaken. And the difference to the Common App essay is that you're limited to 650 words, and
Yes.
they're giving you like 7 prompts you can choose from. They're pretty
Mhm.
specific prompts, but at the very end, like there's also a prompt that's open as well. You can talk about anything. So my advice would be just to write about anything you want, and then after you wrote the essay, just choose the prompt that fits your
Mm,
essay, right?
yeah.
And like I'm reading the Q&A now, and I read a question about an essay not having enough impact, and I
Mm,
think that's because there's something deeper within you that you can still extract, because the thing is these essays will force you to reflect deeply about your identity,
mm,
and there's no way out of that. So sometimes it's just so scary for me as well to explore my own past and my own experiences, and there were times when I would just avoid all my essays because reflecting can be uncomfortable sometimes. But you have to push through that feeling and talk yourself into thinking that there's no other way to craft a good application but to come to terms with who you really are. And the college application process is all about who you are. So I guess my biggest advice is when you find yourself avoiding the big stuff is to be comfortable with the discomfort. And yeah, if all else fails, you can reach out to other people who might know you, and you can help you brainstorm what interesting stuff you have about you.
I really, really love that answer. And then as someone part of the Camp Exec team, I am also I also should say that we have office hours later today, 5 to 7 p.m. So if you want to consult a camp mentor about your essay, you can definitely do that. Camp Philippines, whoever is on that account, please plug in the details in the chat. Okay, next. Matty, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So basically, for the Ateneo essay, basically for the common app, they kind of just split the Ateneo essay into 6 parts. Like that's how I took it, because it's kind of just asking you about an experience in a way. So what I did was I used my Ateneo essay for my common app essay, but to write an essay, would you guys like to write a good essay basically? Apart from it just being you, it has to be what's special about you, and like what makes you stand out. And I know you guys hear that so many times from your guidance counselors, but that's actually kind of it. And one of the things that I notice people like fall like into is that they're like, oh, my topic is rare, so that means it would be good, but not necessarily, because your topic might be rare, but it might not show who you are. And like unis don't really want rare topics. They just want you. They want someone like who can fit into like the kind of student that they want to produce, or the kind of student that they want to teach. So that's something that you guys should do. Like for me, medyo funny. nag-existential crisis ako before I wrote my essay. So I was like, oh, I'll use that na lang as my essay prompt. And then for some reason that got me into Ateneo tsaka yung other unis that I applied to.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, for lack of time, we'll move on. And then girls, you get to answer the next question. But also, it's only Ateneo that has an essay in the Philippines. Yep. And then Asian universities, there's only a personal statement. So you write about why you want to go to that school, why you chose that major. So if you're less confident in creating like creative essays, you can apply to an Asian university. Okay. Final question, I suppose. What is your last message, or what message do you want to give to people who are thinking of applying abroad or thinking about if they should go here, if they should go abroad, anything like that? Grace, you can go first, and then Gwen, and then Carl, and then Matty.
So one of the major things just to have your eyes set on something now is really to have your goals and aspirations like planned and not really planned out, but like you know what they are, like you know what your passions are, so you can work towards that. And what opportunities you want build your way toward that. For example, if you want to pursue a research based career, you should look for opportunities and seek out mentorship that also includes let's say research. And if you really want something that could be substantial to your family and sustainable as well, seek out opportunities like scholarships. There's a lot in the Philippines. For example, merit scholarship. Ateneo offers a variety of scholarships. Like if you're the valedictorian or salutatorian, for example, you're exempted from some sets. I know, like the application fee. So you really have to know the application process itself and know what you're really trying to look for in the long run.
Super love it. Gwen?
I think in general, my last message for everyone here is whether you pursue studying abroad or you stay in the Philippines is at the end of the day, one thing that you really have to learn is how to make opportunities for yourself. Like if sometimes the doors aren't open to you, or like if you don't get to your dream uni for for your undergraduate, then go there for your masters. Like there's so many different ways that you can achieve your dreams. And so don't get discouraged when you don't get there the first time.
Super love it. Thank you. Carl?
So I know applying and studying abroad seems like a scary experience for many of us, but just remember that there are a lot of people out there to help you, and you would be surprised how many there are. So if you find yourself being stressed or being overwhelmed with how many things are going on in your life, then just don't be afraid to reach out. It will solve a lot of your problems.
Tama. People who want to help you also camp mentorship next session. And then finally, Matty.
Well, I always say this kasi whenever someone asks me about like college applications abroad or just college applications in general, three things: be sure, be confident, be ready. Kasi if you're sure about where you want to go, that will be your motivation as to why you will stay and as to why you will pursue going there. Be confident, make sure like whenever you submit things, you feel good about them and like you don't feel a bit iffy, because that sense might be what the people who read your application feel. And as for be ready, if you are going to apply abroad, be ready to experience a lot of like obstacles, a lot of hardships, like loneliness, homesickness, or any mental health problems. But if you are gonna study here, also be ready to experience anything that might be unexpected, basically, because it's college, it's a new breed. You won't know what to expect now because we're all used to the usual high school setup wherein we have our own schedule already, we have teachers, but college is really different from what you expect in high school.
Hey, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. I graduated high school already. I'm off to go to college next year, and I still got really inspired by this talk. So thank you so much. That concludes our session and our Q&A. Thank you so much for your active participation, everyone. I hope that our beloved speakers were able to shed light on your curiosities and concerns. But if not, beloved speakers, would you guys be able to, like, if you're comfortable only lang, give your contact details in the chat para people can reach out to you after the session in case they have any questions. If they're not comfortable with that, don't worry at all. But yeah, on behalf of Campus 2023 facilitation team, I would like to extend our sincerest gratitude and appreciation to all of you for sharing with us your valuable insights today. We're honestly super, super grateful for you accepting our panel invitation. We had such a good, and well-rounded panel for this one. So everyone, let's give a round of applause naman for Carl, Gwen, Matty, and Grace. And then up next, we'll be adventuring abroad with campus mentorship. So if you want to learn more about how specifically you can get help by people who have applied abroad, then definitely tune in. So that's it, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, panelists. That's it. All right, bye everyone. Thanks so much. Super great having you.